A very good evening and welcome to our news here on Saturday. Making headlines, another heart-wrenching incident of an infant abandoned by her parents reported in the island. This was when a 5-month-old infant was found abandoned close to a railway track in Colombo this morning. We have the details on this story. Also making headlines this evening, St. Thomas's College Mount Lavinia defeated arch rivals Royal College Colombo to clinch the Michael Gunratne Trophy after 8 years. All the action coming up on Sports First tonight. But first, let's take a look at the headlines. Heavy rains continue to batter India. Over 550 reported dead. President Rajapaksa expresses his sorrow to the Indian Premier over the natural disaster. Protests continue in Brazil while President Dilma Rousseff unveils reforms. Venerable Bellamvilla Vimalratna Thero speaks on a prediction made by late scholar Sri Chandraratna Manavasinghe. Efforts have intensified in northern India to rescue tens of thousands of people trapped by flash floods that have already killed nearly 600 people. Indian media quoting the Chief Minister of mountainous Uttarakhand state reported that 556 bodies have been identified, while over 5,000 people have been reported missing.
Floods and landslides caused by heavier than usual monsoon rains left pilgrims and tourists trapped this week, mostly in Uttarakhand. Yesterday, authorities had recovered 40 bodies from the river Ganges. Updated official numbers were not available, but media reports estimated the number of dead to exceed 1,000. Although the Indian military has organized a massive search and rescue operation, the geography of the area has made it difficult to reach the victims. India's Interior Ministry reported that over 33,000 pilgrims trapped in the affected areas have been rescued, while over 60,000 people are believed to be stranded in various parts of Uttarakhand, waiting for rescue teams to reach their camps. Floods have also been reported from neighboring Himachal Pradesh and Uttar Pradesh with the start of monsoon rains. The Indian Meteorological Department predicted more rains and have added that it would not affect the rescue missions in any way. Floods have also been reported from Nepal. News First contacted a journalist from Nepal, Rajan Parajoli, who explained the situation there.
Most of the Nepalese, they always go to India to visit the different sacred holy places, which we call Char Dham. There are like 4 very popular temples, and every year many Nepalese visit there. So this time, those people who have been visiting these temples in Uttarakhand, they were caught in a flood. And we recently got a news that more than 700 Nepalese were rescued by Indian Army, and many people are returning back to Nepal. But Nepal doesn't really have exact data how many people have been visiting there.
Professor of Geology at the University of Colombo, A.S. Norbert, speaking the News First, explained the reason for the adverse weather conditions.
Usually the monsoon rains coming to India in June 1st at Kerala coast. After that is slowly moved to Ganga region. In September 15, the withdrawal of the monsoon will start. But this time, 2/3 of Indian subcontinent covered by the monsoon heavy rains and made floods in the Uttarakhand and Himachal Pradesh. According to the meteorological reports, Indian Ocean warmed intensively, and other reasons, southwest area low pressure system and the cyclonic activities. Because of 3, and it's related to the global warming that induced the monsoon winds and gave heavy rain in India. Because almost in the May second week, the monsoon rains arrived in Sri Lanka and flow above Sri Lanka and reached Kerala state, and after that it gave heavy rainfall in the Indian continents. But the problem is when the monsoon came to Sri Lanka, it's related to low pressure activities and directly connected to the global warming, atmospheric global warming processes.
Meanwhile, astronomers point out that the moon will be at its brightest this weekend. The Department of Meteorology says that certain parts of the island may experience a rainfall of 100 millimeters. Rains have also been forecasted for the western, central, Sabaragamuwa and northwestern provinces. The Met Department warns that wind speeds of between 50 to 70 kilometers per hour could be expected in the coastal areas of Mannar, Galle, Potterville, Jaffna and Trincomalee. The department warns the general public to take necessary precautions. Meanwhile, authorities have taken measures to open the spill gates of the Kotmale reservoir by meter reach due to the continuing rainfall. Therefore, the riverside of the Nawalapitia road was inundated by the excess water released from the Kotmale reservoir, hampering transportation. Irrigation engineer in charge of the reservoir has warned those residing using the Mahabali River from riverside to the Polgolla reservoir to remain vigilant.
Addressing a letter to the Indian Premier, President Mahinda Rajapaksa mourned the death and destruction caused by massive floods in India. According to the presidential media spokesperson and the international media unit, the president had said that Sri Lanka shares the grief of the people of India at a time of great distress.
The president said that Sri Lanka is extremely saddened by the loss of lives and property of those residing in Uttarakhand and parts of Himachal Pradesh and Uttar Pradesh. The letter addressed to Indian Prime Minister Dr. Manmohan Singh noted that Sri Lanka will extend a helping hand to the Indian government and state officials to get back on their feet after the unseen natural disaster.
On to other stories. Protest rallies organized by the Janata Vimukti Peramuna were held across the island yesterday, demanding electricity tariffs be reduced.
A demonstration was held in close proximity to the clock tower in Matale town, where protesters burnt electricity bills. Another protest was held in the Buttala city. Demonstrations led by JVP Politburo member Sunil Handunnetti took place in Maharagama.
It has been a month since the government burdened the nation with an unfair increase in electricity tariffs. We know that the government has squandered public funds in the millions by organizing exhibitions. We are demanding the government to reduce electricity tariffs immediately and reduce the burden that is placed daily on the people.
After creating awareness among the public, the protesters burnt electricity bills. Another protest was held in the Galle town against the increase in electricity tariffs.
Emeritus Professor of Law Savitri Gunasekara, delivering a lecture on human rights and the role and responsibility of lawyers in Colombo, today said that human development means the respect, protection and fulfillment of human rights.
Once the state has a constitutional provisions as we have, once the state has ratified the treaties, there are three obligations. One is the obligation to respect. If you have an obligation to respect human rights, nothing that you do in government passes as good governance unless you respect those norms of equality, freedom from torture, free speech. That means neither you nor your policies nor your agents should be violating human rights. So the UDA should not be evicting people and throwing them out to beautify the city. The UDA cannot do that. You should not have environmental degradation and the cutting of trees to pay provident funds. So that is a violation of the duty to respect. Then the duty to protect. The protection obligation is not to protect from violations. To protect from violations means protecting from violations by third parties. Respect is what you do. Protect is preventing violations by third parties. Third parties could be the community, organizations which espouse intolerance and violence against minorities, and the citizen has the right to be protected from that. The Attorney General has an obligation to protect from that. The police has a right to protect from that.
Speaking further at the event, Professor Gunasekara said that fulfilling human rights is proactive.
Fulfilling human rights is proactive. That is creating institutions, strengthening law enforcement, legal aid, providing basic needs, shelter, security. Those are the things that the government should be doing. So in all those three, respect, protect and fulfill, you have the spectrum of governance. And that is the basis on which we say human rights is at the very core of governance. That economic development cannot be delayed from human rights. For sustainable development, you must have economic growth balanced by human development. And human development means the respect, protection and fulfillment of human rights.